Alright, this is take 2 of reading chapter 6. I didn't get that far. But a certain son of yours couldn't find me because my door was closed. So he started screaming like he was going to die. So I had to rush out of the room to go check on him. He's fine. He's just a drama queen. But I told you yesterday that I forgot to show you the chapter 1 art, which was a lot. I forgot to show you the chapter 2 art. This is the chapter 2 art. She's talking with Miss Forcible while she's walking the dogs. Very poggers. But we're reading chapter 6 today. Chapter 6 art is also not on the first page, which makes it easy to miss. But this is chapter 6 art. As you can see, very normal and sane woman with doing normal, everyday mother things, like hanging out. We're gonna read chapter 6. Mr. Man! No, you gotta stop being silly. I'm trying to read. You can't even read, and you're gonna be 3 years old. He's gonna be 3 this month. That's crazy. Older than Storm. But, we're gonna read chapter 6. Coraline was woken by the mid-morning sun full on her face. For a moment she felt utterly dislocated. She did not know where she was. She was not entirely sure who she was. It was astonishing just how much of what we are can be tied to the beds we wake up in the morning. And it was astonishing how fragile that can be. See, I caught myself. First time I read this, I read it as fragile, which is your fault because of your character. Sometimes Coraline would forget who she was while she was daydreaming that she was an explorer, exploring the Arctic or the Amazon rainforest or the darkest Africa. And it was not until someone tapped her on the shoulder or said her name that Coraline would come back from a million miles away with a start, and all in a fraction of a second have to remember who she was and what her name was, and that she was even there at all. Now there was sun on her face, and she was Coraline Jones, yes. And then the green and pinkness of the room she was in, and the rustling of the large painted paper, butterflied as it fluttered and beat its way about the ceiling, told her where she had woken up. She climbed out of bed. She could not wear her pajamas, dressing gown, and slippers during the day. She decided, even if it meant wearing the other Coraline's clothes. Was there another Coraline? No, she realized there wasn't. There was just her. There were no regular clothes in the cupboards, though. They were more like dress-up clothes, or, she thought, the kind of clothes she would love to have hanging in her own wardrobe at home. There was Raggedy Witch costume, a Patch Scarecrow costume, a Future Warrior costume with little digital lights in it that glittered and blinked, and silky evening dress, all covered in feathers and mirrors. Finally, in a drawer, she found a pair of black jeans that seemed to be made of velvet night, and a gray sweater, the color of thick smoke, with faint tiny stars in the fabric, which twinkled. She pulled on the jeans and sweater. Then she put on a pair of bright orange boots she found at the bottom of the cupboard. She took her last apple out of her pocket, of her dressing gown, then took from the same pocket the stone with the hole in it. She put the stone into the pocket of her jeans, and it was as if her head had cleared a little. As if she had come out of some sort of fog. She went into the kitchen, but it was deserted. Still, she was sure that there was someone in the flat. She walked down the hall until she reached her father's study and discovered that it was occupied. "Where's the other mother?" she asked. The other father, he was sitting in the study at the desk, which looked like her father's, but he was not doing anything at all, not even reading gardening catalogs, as her own father did when he was only pretending to be working. "Out," he told her, "fixing the doors. There are some vermin problems." He seemed pleased to have somebody to talk to. "The rats, you mean?" "No, the rats are our friends. There's this other kind, big black fellow with his tail high." "The cat, you mean?" "That's the one," said her other father. He looked less like her true father today. There's something slightly vague about his face, like bread dough that had begun to rise, smoothing out the bumps and cracks and depressions. Really, I mustn't talk to you when she's not here, he said. But don't you worry, she won't be gone often. I shall demonstrate our tender hospitality to you, such that you will not ever think about ever going back. He closed his mouth and folded his hands into his lap. So what am I to do now? Asked Coraline. The other father pointed at his lips. Silence. If you won't even talk to me, said Coraline, I am going exploring. No point, said the other father. There isn't anywhere but here. This is all she made, the house, the grounds, and the people in the house. She made it, and she waited. Then he looked embarrassed, and he put one finger to his lips again, as if he had just said too much. Coraline walked out of his study. She went into the drawing room, over the old door, and she pulled at it. She pulled it, rattled and shook. No, it was locked fast. The other mother had the key. She looked around the room. It was so familiar. Sorry, cats are making noises. It was so familiar. That was what made it feel so truly strange. Everything was exactly the same as she remembered. There was all her grandmother's strange-smelling furniture. There was the painting of the bowl of the fruit, a bunch of grapes, 2 plums, a peach, and an apple, hanging on the wall. There was a low wooden table with the lion's feet, the empty fireplace, which seemed to suck heat from the room. But there was something else, something she did not remember seeing before, a ball of glass, up on the mantelpiece. She went over to the fireplace, went up on her tippy toes, and lifted it down. It was a snow globe, with 2 little people in it. Coraline shook it and set the snow flying, white snow that glittered as it thumbed through the water. Then she put the snow globe back on the mantelpiece, and carried on looking for her true parents, and for a way out. She went out of the flat, past the flashing lights door behind which the other Miss Spink and Miss Forcible performed their show forever, and she set off into the woods, where Coraline came from. Once you were through the patch of trees, you saw nothing but meadows, and the other old tennis court in this place. The woods went on farther. The trees became cruder and less tree-like. The farther you went. Pretty soon they seemed very approximate, like the idea of trees. Grayish-brown trunk below, a greenish splodge of something that might have been leaves above. Coraline wondered if the other mother wasn't interested in trees, or if she just hadn't bothered with this bit properly, because nobody was expected to come out this far. She kept walking, and then the mist began. It was not damp, like the normal fog or mist. It was not cold, and it was not warm. It felt to Coraline like she was walking into nothing. I'm an explorer, thought Coraline to herself, and I need all the ways out of here that I can get, so I shall keep walking. The world she was walking through was a pale nothingness, like a blank sheet of paper or an enormous empty white room. It had no temperature, no smell, no texture, and no taste. Certainly isn't mist, thought Coraline, although she did not know what it was. For a moment she wondered if she might not have gone blind, but no, she could see herself plain as day, but there was no ground beneath her feet, just a mist, milky whiteness. And what do you where do you that's what it says. And what do you think you're doing? said a shape to one side of her. It took a few moments for her eyes to focus on it properly. She thought it might have been some kind of lion at first, some distant away from her, and then she thought it might be a mouse close beside her, and then she knew what it was. I'm exploring, Coraline told the cat. Its fur stood up straight of its body, and its eyes were wide, while its tail was down between its legs. It did not look a happy cat. Bad place, said the cat. Do you want to call it a place? Which I don't. What are you doing here? I'm exploring. Nothing to find here, said the cat. This is just the outside, the part of the place she hasn't bothered to create. She? The one who says she's your other mother, said the cat. What is she? Asked Coraline. Cat did not answer, just padded through the pale mist beside Coraline. A shape began to appear in front of them, something high and towering in the dark. You were wrong, she told the cat. There is something there. And then it took shape in the mist, a dark house which loomed at them out of a formless whiteness. But that's, said Coraline. The house you just left, agreed the cat. Precisely. Maybe I just got turned around in the mist, said Coraline. Cat curled the high tip of its tail into a question mark and tipped its head to one side. You might have done, it said. I certainly would not. Wrong indeed. But how can you walk away from something and still come back to it? Easy, said the cat. Think of somebody walking around the world. You start out walking away from something and end up coming back to it. Small world, said Coraline. It's big enough for her, said the cat. Spider webs only have to be large enough to catch flies. Coraline shivered. He said that she's fixing all the gates and the doors, she told the cat, to keep you out. She may try, said the cat, unimpressed. Oh, yes, she may try. They were standing under the clump of trees now, beside the house. These trees looked much more likely. There's ways in and ways out of places, like this that even she doesn't know about. You goober. Foss messed up his jump. Are you two having fun? I have the door open this time while I read. I don't know if you can hear that, but I have the door open because they have zoomies right now and they're playing. He doesn't know about. Did she make this place then? Asked Coraline. Made it, found it. What's the difference? Asked the cat. Either way, she had it a very long time. Hang on. And it gave a shiver and a leap, and before Coraline could blink, the cat was sitting with its paw holding down a big black rat. It's not that I like rats at the best of times, said the cat, conversationally, as if nothing had happened. But the rats in this place are all spies for her. She uses them as her eyes and hands. And careful! And with that, the cat let the rat go. It ran several feet, and then the cat, with one bounce, was upon it, batting at it hard with one sharp clawed paw, while the other pawed and held it down. I love this bit, said the cat happily. Want to see me do that again? No, said Coraline. Why do you do it? You're torturing it. Said the cat. It let the rat go. The rat stumbled, dazed, for a few steps. Then it began to run, with a blow of its paw. The cat knocked the rat into the air and caught it in its mouth. Stop it, said Coraline. Cat dropped the rat between two of its front paws. These are those, it said with a sigh, tones as smooth as oiled silk. We have suggested that the tendency of a cat is to play with its prey is a merciful one. After all, Oh, it's the box spinning. I was like, what is that buzzing sound? It permits the occasional funny little running snack to escape from time to time. How often does your dinner get to escape? And then it picked the rat up in its mouth and carried it off into the woods, behind a tree. Coraline walked back into the house. All was quiet and empty and deserted. Even her footsteps on the carpet floor seemed loud. Dust motes hung in a beam of sunlight. I've never heard of a dust mote. At the far end of the hall was a mirror. She could see herself walking towards the mirror, looking reflected, a little braver than she actually felt. There was nothing else there in the mirror, just her in the corridor. A hand touched her shoulder. She looked up. The other mother stared down at Coraline with big black button eyes. Coraline, my darling, she said, I thought we could play some games together this morning. Now you're back from your walk. Hopscotch, happy families, Monopoly. You weren't in the mirror, said Coraline. The other mother smiled. Mirrors, she said, are never to be trusted. Now, what game shall we play? Coraline shook her head. I don't want to play with you, she said. I want to go home, and I want to be with my real parents. I want you to let them go, to let us all go. The other mother shook her head very slowly. Sharper than a serpent's tooth, she said, is a daughter's ingratitude. Still, the proudest spirit can be broken with love. And her long white fingers waggled and she choked on her own spit and died. Sorry. And her long white fingers waggled and caressed her hair. I have no plans to love you, said Coraline. No matter what, you can't make me love you. Let's talk about it, said the other mother, and she turned and walked into the lounge. Coraline followed her. The other mother sat down on a big sofa. She picked up a shopping bag from beside the sofa and took out a white, rustling paper bag from inside. She extended the hand with it to Coraline. Would you like one? She asked politely, expecting it to be toffee or a butterscotch ball. Coraline looked down. The bag was half filled with large, shiny black beetles, crawling over each other in their efforts to get out of the bag. No, said Coraline. I don't want one. Suit yourself, said her other mother. She carefully picked out a particularly large black beetle, pulled off its legs, which she dropped neatly into a big glass ashtray on the small table beside the sofa, and popped the beetle into her mouth. She crunched it happily. Yum, she said, and took another. You're sick, said Coraline. Sick and evil and weird. Is that any way to talk to your mother? Her other mother asked, her mouth full of black beetles. You aren't my mother, said Coraline. Her other mother ignored this. Now, I think you are a little overexcited, Coraline. Perhaps this afternoon we could do a little embroidery together, or some watercolor painting. Then dinner, and then if you have been good, you may play with the rats a little before bed, and I shall read you a story and tuck you in and kiss you good night. Her long white fingers fluttered gently, like a tired butterfly, and Coraline shivered. No, said Coraline. The other mother sat on the sofa. Her mouth was set in a line. Her lips were pursed. She popped another black beetle into her mouth, and then another, like someone with a bag of chocolate-covered raisins. Her big black button eyes stared into Coraline's hazel eyes. Her shiny black hair twined and twisted around her neck and shoulders, as if it were blowing in some wind that Coraline could not touch or feel. They stared at each other for a minute. Then the other mother said, Manners! She folded the white bag carefully, so no black beetles could escape, and she placed it back into the shopping bag. Then she stood up, and up, and up. She seemed taller than Coraline remembered. She reached into her apron pocket, pulled out first the black door key, which she frowned at and tossed into her shopping bag, then a tiny silver-colored key. She held it up triumphantly. There we are, she said. This is for you, Coraline, for your own good, because I love you, to teach you manners. Manners maketh man after all. That's a real word. She pulled Coraline back into the hallway and advanced upon the mirror at the end of the hall. Then she pushed the tiny key into the fabric on the mirror, and she twisted it. It opened like a door, revealing a dark space behind it. You may come out when you've learned some manners, said the other mother, and when you're ready to be a loving daughter. She picked Coraline up and pushed her into the dim space behind the mirror. A fragment of a beetle was sticking to her lower lip, and there was no expression at all on her black button eyes. Then she swung the mirror door closed, and she left Coraline in darkness. And that was chapter 6. You ever get shoved into a mirror by your mom? Been there. Chapters are starting to get longer, and I think that's because, you only got 13 chapters, apparently. I can't wait for the, boss fights to start happening. They're all so cool. I don't know if, no, he does. I was like, I don't know if the old man upstairs does, but he does. One thing that's interesting is in the movie, they give him a name. In the book, he's just the weird old man who lives upstairs. But in the movie, he has a name. I don't remember what it is, but he has a name. And he's blue. I don't know why they made him blue. I just find that silly. He looks nothing like he does in the book. in the movie that he does in the book. You'll see him. There's a drawing of him in the book that you'll get to see. I think it's just other him, but they look nothing alike. I mean, the movie version of him has such weird proportions. Anyway, I'm really sleepy. That's why I recorded this now, because I'm probably not going to go to bed for a while because it's Friday, but I didn't want to wait till before I went to bed tonight because I didn't want to be too tired to read the chapter. That was chapter 6. Very poggies, very epic. The book is very good, and it's just going to keep getting gooder, which is also a real word. Alright. I gotta text you back now because you've been yapping at me and I have not been responding as quickly as I normally do. And you're being gay. Tisked. I love you too. You texted I love you. But I love you more, actually, so womp womp. Alright, I'm gonna upload this so you can have bedtime story, and I'm gonna fucking get cozy, because I'm gonna go me. Tomorrow we'll read chapter 7. Alright, good night. I love you.